Namaste friends, welcome to Book Review. Today's title is The East India Company, the world's most powerful corporation by Tirthankar Roy. Friends, this book is part of the story of Indian business series, the series director of which is Gurcharan Das. Before I take you through the summary of the book, let me give you a brief about the story of Indian business that Gurcharan Das has edited and has also provided a comprehensive introduction to it. There are 10 books in the series as follows. 1. Arthashastra, The Science of Wealth by Thomas R. Trotman. 2. The World of Tamil Merchant, Pioneers of International Trade by Kanaklatha Mukund. 3. The Mouse Merchant, Money in Ancient India by Arshia Sattar. 4. The East India Company, the world's most powerful corporation by Tirthankar Roy, the book that I am reviewing right now. 5. Caravans, Punjabi Khatri Merchants on Silk Road by Scott C. Levi. 6. Globalization Before Its Time, the Gujarati Merchants of Kutch by Chhaya Goswami, edited by Jayatirath Rao. 7. Three Merchants of Bombay, Business Pioneers of 19th Century by Lakshmi Subramanian. 8. The Marwaris from Jagat Seth to Birlas by Thomas A. Timberg. 9. Goras and Desis, Managing Agencies and Making of the Corporate India by Omkar Goswami. 10. Indian Railways, Weaving National Tapestry by Bibek Debroy, Sanjay Chadda and Vidya Krishnamurthy. Friends, let me also give you a brief introduction of both Tirthankar Roy and Gurcharan Das before I come to the book. Tirthankar Roy teaches economic history at the London School of Economics and Political Science. His book, The Economic History of India 1857 to 1947, now in its third edition, has changed the way Indian economic history is studied and taught worldwide. Now when we come to Gurcharan Das, he is a world-renowned author, commentator and public intellectual. His best-selling books include India Unbound, The Difficulty of Being Good, and India Grows at Night. His other literary works consist of a novel, A Fine Family, a book of essays, The Elephant Paradigm, and an anthology, 3 plays. Gurcharan is a graduate from Harvard University. He was the CEO of Procter & Gamble India before he took early retirement to become a full-time writer. He lives in Delhi and often comes on talk shows in electronic media that we really enjoy. Friends, the subject book, The East India Company, the world's most powerful corporation, was first published by Penguin Random House India in 2012. The price of this book is $2.99. Says the business world, the East India Company is an interesting inspection of how a colonial company defined the way we do business today. The book is the first-time account of the East India Company from the perspective of Indian business history. This groundbreaking study examines how the East India Company founded an empire in India at a time it started losing ground in business. For over 200 years, the company's vast business network had spanned across Persia, India, China, Indonesia, and North America. But in the late 1700s, its career took a dramatic turn and it ended up being an empire builder. In this well-researched account, Tirthankar Roy reveals how the company's trade in India changed its profile and further how the company changed Indian business. Fitting together too many pieces of a vast jigsaw puzzle, the book explores how politics meshed so closely with the conduct of business then and what that tells us about doing business now. Many of the facts mentioned in the book were hitherto unknown to me till I read the book. He has done exemplary research, but more than that, he has put everything in context very, very nicely. Fitting together many pieces of the vast jigsaw puzzle, the book explores how politics meshed so closely with the conduct of business then and what that tells us about doing business now. It is a mid-spine book of some 237 pages, not very not very voluminous or thick. It is divided into 10 chapters where Tirthankar connects the whole cycle all too well. Friends, we all know there was an East India Company that ventured into India and many other regions of the world, and gradually it captured power through this company and brought it under the British crown. No one can forget the famous saying, rather, who can forget the famous saying, the sun never sets on the British Empire. But then how did all of this happen? Who started it? How did it start? What went into play in Europe of those times? How did the Dutch, Portuguese, French and the Britishers battle it out within themselves? Who were the voyagers who sailed first? How did they fight the pirates? How meekly did the Europeans enter countries like Persia, China, India, Indonesia, Sumatra, Java, Burma and many more, and acquired a formidable trader's position in these countries. To know all this, you have to read this book. There is a lavish introduction of the book by Gurcharan. The book in all has 10 chapters. It essentially narrates the business history of India, which was largely trading then. Or you could say exports and imports. If masala, tea or silk went out of Asia, did silver come in return, as there was no common currency? The book also explains the configurations of the East India Company and the history of certain generic products and trade routes. In those times there was the maritime route and the ground route. Air was not there. Friends, business may lose ethics while it's in red. The point got proven when the British sovereign, building on East India Company, even made money by drugging the Chinese youth with opium that was grown in Bihar. This led to a fierce battle when they forced Chinese to surrender Hong Kong to the British crown under a treaty. The book is descriptive in certain ways, as it describes the famous ports of India, that is Calcutta, Bombay and Madras. It even highlights the dictum that business is based on trust far more than contract. It talks of monopoly market. It gives an excellent maritime description. It talks about the origin of joint stock company, conflict of interest when some employees of the East India Company started discreetly doing their own business in the name of the company, and their politicians back in London started supporting them. It explains the transformation of the company from a trader to an empire builder with reference to its own organizational structure and to the opportunities that came its way, and what effects did the company as a trader and as an empire impart upon the economy and business organization in India. From 1833, the company ceased to exist as a trading body. Thereafter, it existed as an administrator of India in partnership with the Crown. It is an interesting book, friends, for those readers who are interested in digging into the business history of India. Generally, when we think of British Crown and East India Company, we think of the various wars that were fought on the Indian soil. This is a definite variation from that, and it gives you a new perspective of how a mercantile battle was fought between various countries, or rather Europe and Asia, or Europe and Middle East, and who came victorious. The narration is a little monotonous, or you could say a little dry, but balances out very well with the data and findings that it brings along with it. And one cannot blame the author, as he has converted his research into this very knowledgeable book. The language is plain and simple and in no way flowery. Quite a must read for people in business, history students, MBA students, and any such person who is interested in the mercantile history of India. I would give the book 7 out of 10. And friends, that's all for today. Goodbye. See you next week.